Next news story, I think Oliver's added this one to the docket, and I'm just going to read out what's written here. Half-Life 3 in, in capitals, confirmed, triple question marks, and it looks like a quadruple exclamation point there. Oliver, you said before that you were going to give us a preview of what you're talking about, and I said, no, save it for the actual recording. So hit us with it. Is it coming? Is it happening? What evidence do you have for these ludicrous claims?
Yes, well, I'll walk you through it. So the new information here is pretty scant, but I think when you combine it all together,
that's a good start.
When you combine it all together, you get a much bigger narrative, So basically, there's an actress called Natasha Chandel, and she posted on her website that she was working on a game. Like, she had her IMDb little listing there with the games and things that she was working on, and that she was providing voice acting for a game called Project White Sands at Valve Corporation. So that is presumably, it's a project. It's an unannounced title. That's a code name. So that might not sound that significant, but White Sands is the name of a national park and military testing range in the United States, in New Mexico, which is where Black Mesa is located. So that's a gigantic hint, and I think you can probably reasonably guess that the game is Half-Life related. It also has a sort of neat thematic fit with Black Mesa, because, you got Black Mesa, then you got White Sands, black and white, you're mixing the colors there. And then also a mesa is a flat mountain, often made out of sandstone, so you got the stand there. Maybe I'm extrapolating too much, but, it's not that crazy, I don't think, to think that the two are linked. Also, you have that dual military and natural theme with the White Sands Park, because it has military purpose as well. They do military testing there. They do missile testing. Indeed, I looked up online, and the National Park Service warns that the park is sometimes closed for missile testing. So you have that kind of dual military and natural thing that you got going on with Black Mesa as well. I think it's a very clever kind of mix there, if they are going for that. Indeed, I'm kind of hypothesizing here. But the other code names that Valve has used for their other titles are often not remotely related to what the projects end up shipping, like Hot Dog for Deadlocked and Jamiroquai for Half-Life Alyx.
Oh my
so the
God.
fact that this does appear to be so closely linked to that IP does certainly suggest something. The other part of this is that there have been various additions to Source 2 that people have data mined that mention things like HEV suits, Zen, and manhacks, and they have been receiving updates. So Valve tends to be quite leaky, like with Deadlock, which I think you can look up on YouTube right now and watch footage of it, even though they haven't announced it yet. That's how leaky they are. And the other detail that I think is pertinent to this is that Valve has a few internal development teams, and the team that was working on Half-Life Alyx has not announced a new project. Plus, Valve has technology in Source 2 that could be used for a new Half-Life game creditably, and could produce, I think, creditable visuals that would meet player expectations. So I think when you combine it all together, the code name and its significance, the fact that the actors scrubbed the reference from their website after it was published, the fact that there have been source engine updates that are specifying objects with Half-Life related code names, and the fact that Half-Life Alyx developers haven't been attached to a new project, I think that indicates one of two likely possibilities, right? The first is a Half-Life spin-off game, like Half-Life Alyx, and the second is possibly Half-Life 3 or a project equivalent to Half-Life 3 that would continue the story, presumably, of the Half-Life games. I think those are two likely possibilities when you tie it all together. I think the fact that they are calling it Project White Sands is a hell of a thing, if that's a coincidence. I mean, they're obviously codenaming it with some intention to draw a reference, a very strong reference to Half-Life, its geography, its setting, Black Mesa. So that's basically the conspiracy all sketched out. But I think that it really does seem like they are working on something Half-Life related at the very least, and that isn't a huge surprise given that Half-Life Alyx came out, a few years ago, 4 years ago now.
Oh my God.
But it could very well be a successor project or something that continues the narrative.
There is a third possibility there, Oliver. It's just that just Gabe is toying with us, outsmarting us every step of the way, as only the master can.
Yeah.
But yes, there does seem to be something afoot. Alex, what is your reaction to this series of evidence?
I think it actually sounds super credible to me. And I don't know about the past of Half-Life and kind of Valve's production of games, but getting at least voice acting done implies to me some, like, at least large parts of the story have already been completed and they feel they're locked for game. That's very encouraging to me, actually. And also the amount of time between now and Half-Life Alyx. I also think technologically we've really advanced so far since Half-Life 2 Episode 2 that we could really see something fantastic here. And there are not a lot of dedicated single-player FPS games anymore that are not Call of Duty. Or
multiplayer.
A multiplayer focused only. So I think the environment is just there to make a really awesome single-player campaign. Half-Life Alyx showed they can still do it to a similar, if not higher level of quality than Half-Life 2. So bring it on. That's what I say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the problem that they've got, that, when you've got a franchise of that majesty is, well, when you go back to Half-Life 2, it was still during the era where the kind of fundamentals of the first-person shooter were being established. And it was, I would say, relatively easier to produce a genuinely game-changing experience.
Mm-hmm.
Now, decades on, I mean, we're going to be getting, I think it's the 20th anniversary, 30th anniversary of, it's the 20th anniversary of Half-Life 2 in November this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, the ability to produce something completely game-changing is actually a lot more difficult. And if you're doing Half-Life, that's what you want, right? And I'd argue that when they did Half-Life Alyx, that was actually a pretty smart move to actually sort of sidestep that particular challenge and just go for VR and do something that had never been seen in VR before, which, paid off for them, I think. So as to what they're going to be doing here, no idea, but can't wait to see what they're doing. Surely they're doing something, you'd think. But then again, we've been saying that for the last decade at least.
Right. Well, I think this is, to me, I've been following this for a little bit, and to me, this is the most, credible leak of something that could be in the future. Because we've seen leaks that say, hey, in 2013, they were working on a Half-Life 3 game and they canned it, which apparently did happen, right? And they've been working on this at various points and they can it. Apparently, at one point, they were working on a Half-Life 3 concept that involved procedurally generated levels and kind of endless gameplay loops and things like this.
No, please, no.
Yeah, personally, I would hope that this is... Yeah, personally, I would hope this is a very handcrafted single-player adventure. Again, speculating that it could be Half-Life 3 or another single-player Half-Life project of some significance. I would hope that it is a handcrafted adventure that is basically a linear shooter. I would hope that it is a bit more conventional, even if they throw in a lot of new gameplay elements, like Half-Life 2 did, for instance. Because it seems like Valve tends to not have too much interest in making flat screen oriented single player experiences. If you look at their library in recent years, there really aren't many of those, if any at all, because the games they are developing and they are putting a lot of resources into are live service oriented, like Dota, Artifact, that card game that got canned a few years ago.
Right.
Counter-Strike 2, and now presumably this game, Deadlocked. So I would hope that this is a more limited title with respect to some of the kinds of ideas that Valve tends to throw around, because they don't tend to be committed, at least in recent years, to these kinds of games, but I know they could make a really good one, and judging from Half-Life Alyx, they have a lot of fuel in the single-player tank, so I hope they can produce something that's interesting. Again, if this is a single-player Half-Life project, which I'm kind of assuming at this point that it probably is, I have to say.
You'd hope.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of hoping going on here.
Maybe too much.